Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to another episode of Double Minute Talks with Arafah, inspired by faith, inspired by Ramadan, inspired by life. Today, we shall be talking about a very important and crucial topic that affects we Muslims as a community. We shall be discussing using Sadaqah and ZAKAT as a tool for poverty alleviation in our society. There are lots of people that are poor, not just poor financially, but poor in morals and also in faith. How do we use Sadaqah as a tool to promote these riches amongst ourselves? Some people might be rich, but might be poor at heart. Some people might be poor, but might be very, very rich at heart. So how does Sadaqah contribute to promoting peace? How does Sadaqah add to the riches we can get as a Muslim community? Apart from the Muslim Ummah, Sadaqah is a very important tool in the society. How do we do that? With me here is a guest to tackle this topic, in person of Mr. Akinjobi Abdulwasi, an educational consultant and also the principal at one of the most prestigious Islamic secondary school in Nigeria, Manarul Huda International School. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thank you for agreeing to spend double minutes of your time with Arafah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's get straight to it. So the first question is, how can Zakat be effectively utilized as a tool for poverty alleviation, and why is it an essential part of Islamic social responsibility?
First and foremost, we must understand that Sadaqah is the same thing as Zakat, which is the third pillar of Islam. And as a practicing Muslim, you must observe all the pillars of Islam to the best of your ability. You know, there are some certain parts of that pillars of Islam you may probably not be able to fulfill, like the Hajj, when Almighty Allah said, "The man istata'a ilayhi sabila." It's only when you have the capacity to. So same thing happens to Sadaqah or Zakat, as the case may be. Not all Muslims can afford to pay Sadaqah. That's why there are some certain measurements or some certain parameters for you to be eligible to pay. But the most important thing is the fact that what you are paying is to the less privileged that are Muslims. Back to your question, the importance, like what I've said, I've explained the importance that it is part of what makes us Muslims. Because observing the 5 pillars of Islam makes you a complete Muslim. And the other part is how it can be utilized. You can't utilize what you don't have. First thing we must talk about is, how do we generate Sadaqah in the first place? By enlightening the people and so on and so forth. So now when you now have it, what makes it to be able to fulfill the purpose it was meant for is, number one, accountability and transparency. So if those in charge of collecting Sadaqah are not being accountable for it, they are not giving it to those that really needs it, as in the Muslim Ummah that are poor, then the purpose is meaningless. So for us to utilize this properly, number one, there must be an element of accountability and transparency, and the other one, there must be an attempt to support those in need.
Exactly.
Especially those we are talking about are those that are close to us. I'm not saying Muslims out of our jurisdiction are not in need, but those that really matters are those close to you. I'm not talking about your family, your mother, your father, your children. Those ones are not covered by Zakat. But when you're talking about your brother, your uncle, maybe those people you go to mosque together, maybe those not too far away from your community, those are those people we expect you to give Sadaqah to, or Zakat. So what I'm saying is, utilization depends on those two things. Those in charge must be accountable for what they are doing, and those that deserves it must be given their due share. That's it.
Okay. So do you think that Sadaqah should only be paid, like you must give someone to do your Sadaqah for you? Can't you do Sadaqah? Like I understand that Zakat is the bulk one, the compulsory one, but Sadaqah as the voluntary one, is it a must to give someone to do your Sadaqah for you, or you can just wake up and say, today I'm giving this person, tomorrow I'm giving that person?
Most cases in an organized area where there are mostly Muslims, it is collected by the government, and where they keep it is what they call Beit al-Mal. Are you getting it? But in our situation whereby the government is not Muslim at all, like probably we are in a secular state, then we talk about all those foundations that we trust that they can do this job for us. But if you feel you cannot trust them, there's no issue. But what you need is you need the knowledge of what to pay. Being rich is relative in some instances. But whatever you have, once what you have is up to like 85 grams, is worth like 85 grams of gold, that you're entitled to pay zakat or sadaqah, as the case may be. Same thing applies to when you have silver. I think silver should be around 575 grams. So once everything you have, your wealth is worth those values, you are entitled to sadaqah. So someone having 500,000 naira, it doesn't. In fact, it doesn't cover it at all. So just keep it. You are among what we would call the masakin. Such person may also be entitled to it.
Okay, moving on to the next question. What role does Zakat play in creating a sustainable change within communities, and how can it help break the cycle of poverty over the long term?
Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created zakat for a purpose, and that purpose is mainly to create a positive social relation. So when I say create a positive social relation, I'm referring to a situation whereby you be your brother's keeper. So fine, the major element there is poverty alleviation, but it goes beyond just poverty alleviation. So a situation whereby the halves, when I say the halves, I'm referring to the rich, give hands to the poor. So the poor will have it at the back of their mind to endanger their lives. That's one thing. And number two is the fact that when zakat is gathered by Beit al-Mal or the so-called foundations, it is not necessary that you start dicing it into small chunks. You can raise something like 10 million, for instance, and decide to give to just like 5 people to start their own businesses. So by the time you continue that on a yearly basis, can you just guess the multiplier effect in less than 10 years? So before you know it, things will start changing. The standard of living of people will start improving. The element of poverty will no more be alarming as we have presently. So another thing is the fact that such money can also be used to like create a community project. You can use it to build a school.
Yes.
Where the children of the less privileged can attend. But one thing you need to note is Sadaqah or Zakat, as the case may be, is once you give it out, it's no more your property. So using it to build a school in the community for the members of the community to enjoy doesn't give you the right to claim anything over it. So that's why it is usually handed over to some people to manage. That's why initially when you asked the question, I said one of those things that make the utilization possible is what? Accountability and what? And transparency. May Allah guide us right.
Amen. So if you are giving Sadaqah, please have it in mind that once you are dropping it like this, bam, take your mind off it. Hand it over to people that can give accountability for it, but take your mind off it. You have done it as ibadah, so you should look forward to Allah accepting it as an act of worship. Okay, the next question. In what ways can individuals and organizations make Sadaqah more impactful, ensuring it reaches those in need and creates lasting benefits?
I'm going to bring in my feed into this issue. It's about statistics. You see, when you don't have the statistics of the Muslim Ummah with you, then you have problem. You may probably give it to the wrong people. So there are different categories of people. There are some that will beg for it, and there are some that will be suffering, but they won't say a word. So that's why you need to have a statistics of those Muslim in that particular community. With that, you'll be able to ascertain those that have jobs, those that doesn't, those that are struggling with, probably they've lost their job or they are struggling with one thing or the other, or those people that are doing some certain businesses, but the businesses are not growing because they need more support. Are you getting it? So once you have their statistics, their information, you'll be able to know where to direct your effort.
Yes.
Doing that will make you, like, whether it is individual, whether it is the government, as the case may be, with all these Muslim countries, you'll be able to address the poverty from its roots.
From the roots.
Are you getting it? So that's
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. So I hope you are enjoying today's episode. I hope you are learning very much from this episode. Please, if you are learning, give my video a big thumbs up and click on the subscribe button to get notified as soon as another interesting episode drops. I am sure you do not want to miss it. So the next question, how can Muslim communities and leaders encourage more people to give Sadaqah or ZAKAT regularly, especially in the times of economic difficulty?
And first and foremost, we have to consider those that we regard as a mouthpiece to the people. One of them is the Imam, and others are the public speakers that are Muslims. So when you enlighten people about the importance of zakat, then they tend to see reasons why they must do it. Also, there are implications. So if you are worth to pay sadaqah and you refuse to do that, there is a promise from Almighty Allah. All what those wealth you have kept will be in your grave. So when you know there are consequences for your actions, so the best thing you do is you want to avoid it. So how much am I giving?
Exactly.
Just 2.5%. It's like when you have like 40 million, all you're giving out is just 1 million. So what makes that thing possible is proper enlightenment.
Yes.
When you enlighten the people, they tend to do the right thing.
Exactly. So a lot of us have this money. We have these riches, but we do not even know that those riches are already ripe enough and eligible enough to remove zakat out of them. So as Muslims, don't just say because you pray 5 times daily, you fast during the month of Ramadan, you go to Hajj, you ignore zakat. Zakat is compulsory on every Muslim that is rich enough to pay it. All right, the final question for my guest is, beyond financial support, what other forms of sadaqah or zakat can be considered for helping those in poverty? And how do these contributions complement traditional charity work?
So we can direct that our effort towards skill acquisition. Sometimes you may not have money, but you may have certain skills you can teach the children of the Muslim Ummah, even the adults, that can make them to be able to survive in this present economy. Yes, there are opportunities around, but there's possibility that opportunity they may not probably see it. But when you try to mentor them, you try to create an avenue where they learn all those things, there's possibility that our situation will improve.
Yeah.
So if at all the issue of money from zakat will come, it will be a sort of ways to invest more. Are you getting it? So may Allah make it easy.
So this question applies to those of us that are not even eligible to pay zakat, but you can also contribute to the Muslim Ummah and help in alleviating poverty. If you have a skill, a very lucrative skill, and you know that when you teach someone, that skill would be very beneficial to the person, please organize free trainings. Emphasis on free, because you are trying to alleviate poverty, which is creating employment opportunities. I hope you have learned a lot from today's episode. I hope you have taken notes. I hope you have learned new things for those of us that already know a lot. Please do well to watch this video, share this video, like this video, watch and watch and watch again, because it is what we need to share in the Muslim Ummah. Thank you so much for watching today's episode once again. I hope you enjoyed Arafah being the host, and I hope you enjoyed Mr. Abdulwasi being my guest. Jazakumullah khairan. Ramadan Mubarak.